For me, a mentor is they're holding space more than a coach is teaching you the technical, here's how to get from here there. And a mentor is holding some sort of energetic space for you so that you can expand and grow into. It's just another person that kind of holds that space.
I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. You know that thing you've been thinking about doing? Yeah, that one. Why not now? Have you ever actually taken the time to ask yourself, what's stopping me? Let's talk it through. This is your chance to give that idea the attention it deserves and take action. Each episode, I have a chat with a fascinating person, from entrepreneurs to athletes, celebrities, my parents, rocket scientists, and all walks of life. We talk through a critical time when they've asked themselves, why not now? We dissect that day or even that moment, step by step. Wow, so today is an interesting episode in that I feel very nervous because I am basically introducing my mentor and talking about the impact she has had on me. And I always want to impress her. I always want to make her proud, just like my parents. It's interesting when I sat down to record this intro. I'm just like thinking, oh, I want to make sure it's just perfect. And it's never going to be perfect. But let me tell you a little bit about Suzy Batiz, if you are not familiar. She first debuted on the Why Not Now podcast in episode 28, and we're now on 100 and something. So early days. I credit her and her soul and wisdom to the probably number one reason for transformation or just impact in my life the last couple of years. So that's a really big deal to me. You can't see me right now, but I have a little tear in my eye just saying that. So this episode's a big deal. If you haven't listened to episode 28 back in the day, it's still hugely valuable, but let me catch you up. Suzy Batiz, founder and creator of Poo Pourri. She has a $300+ million company. Who knows where it is now? She had declared bankruptcy twice before the age of 40 and vowed to never deal with business again. She was done. She went on a bit of a journey to learn more about what actually matters and realized it's an inside job, and now is the wealthiest person I know. And when I say wealthy, I don't just mean money. Yes, she's got plenty of that, but I mean spiritually wealthy and just rich in energy. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about mentorship. And then after Suzy and I speak, I'm going to share some of the key things she has taught me over the last couple of years, which have literally changed my life and trajectory and the way I look at life. What's important about this week and right now is that in episode 28, I asked Suzy about her why not now. And this was probably a year and a half ago or so. And she said, I'm finally ready to step into the light and share more of who I am and, work on this, I'm using air quotes, personal brand. And I've seen her and been right there beside her along this journey. And it's been tricky because Suzy doesn't settle. And she also doesn't want to be boxed into something that's static and restricting. So she has been trying to figure out, really what it is and how it is that she wants herself and her aura, which is immense, to be more accessible online. And as a reminder, you are yourself. You don't brand yourself. You just are you, and that creates a brand. Well, Suzy has had a brand for years and years, and now she's just sharing it more digitally. So that's happening this week in conjunction with a huge launch, her love child company that is debuting. It literally is a business case study, something that's never been done, and here it comes. This woman is, as you can hear, I'm quite a fan and advocate because although she's created immense success business-wise, her ability to transform herself and others is the true value. So here's Suzy and I talking a little bit about mentorship and kind of our evolution. And then on the flip side, I'm going to share what she's taught me. We tackle the most taboo topics on the Why Not Now show. Oftentimes, you're hearing guests share things they've never shared before. In the spirit of things we don't typically talk about, you should know that the Why Not Now show is supported by Poo Pourri, the original before you go toilet spray. It's magic. My friends at Poo Pourri have literally taken the smell out of you-know-what. This pure blend of essential oils stops bathroom odor before it begins. Visit poopourri.com and Why Not Now listeners get 20% off with code WHYNOTNOW. That's all one word. And you can hear the story about Poo Pourri in our interview with founder Suzy Batiz. That's Why Not Now, episode 28. Poo Pourri is also available at Target. A lot of people ask me how to find a mentor. And usually my answer is, it's just happened organically with me in my career. And knowing you have Gay Hendricks as a mentor, who has also been on the podcast, and you are my mentor, although I don't know if we've ever formalized it. But
No.
do you
I think
even
you're
need
mine
to?
too. I love what Gay says. We're just two, what does he say? We're two masters talking with each other.
Ooh.
So that's the way I feel. Yeah.
It's like equal value exchange.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it, too. There's two sides to the relationship.
Yeah. I remember once I was sitting in a workshop and Gay was speaking, and this lady was asking a question about money and said something about her coach. And Gay said, "Does your coach make more money than you?" And she said, "Well, I don't know. Why?" And he said, "Well, I've never had someone coaching me that wasn't more successful at something than I was." And I realized at that time I had a couple of people coaching me that I know I made a lot more money than. So I immediately went up to Gay and I said, "Listen, you've achieved what I haven't, and I want a mentor. Like, will you mentor me?" So that's how I started mentoring with Gay. And I have a rule, like I have a mentor now, a heart-centered mentor. And we can see if we need to edit this later, but JP Sears. Because when I met him, within 5 minutes, I'm crying. My heart's blown wide open. So I've achieved a level of success. But what he did was he actually brought me into my heart, and it's an area that I've been wanting to focus on. And I just said, "Hey, do you coach?" And he had stopped coaching, and I brought him out of retirement, you know. And so my rule is when I see somebody doing something that I haven't mastered, and they have mastered clearly in their life, they don't just say it, like they are the embodiment of that, then I know for me, like that's someone that can teach me somewhere I want to go.
What a good filter and way to identify. So is there a difference between mentoring and coaching to you?
Wow, is there a difference between mentoring and coaching? I don't believe so. For me, they're the same. You know, I've had people say that I'm their mentor, and then, you know, they do something, and it's like, well, you know, like I had a girl, and she was like, "Oh, you're my mentor, and we were having regular meetings. And then she was also working at the company, so it got a little fuzzy, I think, between those. We hadn't set up any really strong rules or values.
She was working at Poo Pourri.
She was working at Poo Pourri, yeah. And then I was mentoring her in her own business. And then she ends up taking a job with someone else. And I remember being just really kind of a little bit blindsided, like, what just happened? I thought I was your mentor. Like, usually, you would go to a mentor to at least, so I understand how those areas were kind of gray. So I've been really careful about that word and about, for me, well, you know what? Let's go back, Ajo. Wait, do I call you Amy Jo here?
You can call me whatever you want.
I'm so confused.
You can call me. Ajo's good.
Okay, so yeah, let's go back for a second because mentoring to me, like, it's a sacred space, right? And coaching is not so sacred. So do you want a mentor or a coach? A mentor, like with Gay, he is my mentor, and that is sacred. I have never been late for a meeting. I have never been late for a call. I respect every word that comes out of his mouth. I get a little teary. Like, that space is like sacred. And I hold that sacred space, with him. He knows that I have that level of respect. So to me, that's a mentor. A coach is someone that I still am not late for my coaching calls. I still respect that space as well, but it's more technical. So for me, a mentor is they're holding space. More than a coach is teaching you the technical, here's how to get from here there. And a mentor is holding some sort of energetic space for you so that you can expand and grow into. It's just another person that kind of holds that space.
Ooh, what a good distinction.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about how you came across both Gay and JP in this case, because you've mentioned both, who have both been on the show, so that's awesome. So we have more of a glimpse into who they are. That was organic in both cases then, right?
It was in both cases. I saw something that I wanted and desired within myself.
And I think that's where when people say, I'm looking on LinkedIn for a mentor, it just feels contrived. There has to be an energetic frequency that
there has to be resonance.
Total resonance.
Yeah, and that is organic. It's in person. Yeah, I just felt that in my body when you said that. It's, go out to workshops, see people speaking. When you're looking on LinkedIn, you're not looking to hire someone for a job. Like this, again, it's a sacred space. So you need to be turned on and they're turned on. What I find is exciting about being a mentor and mentoring is that I get as excited in someone's development as I'm sure they are. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Like it totally turns me on. Like we were just riffing an hour ago and it's so fun for me, I mean, I don't know what we did, but it was...
Suzy helped me with a big project and it was amazing.
Well, I don't know. We just had fun. See, that's it. So there's an equal exchange is what we're talking about. I mean, a coach isn't necessarily so equal. The coach may get enjoyment, but they're hired to do a job.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's very personal. It should be organic. You should be turned on by that person and you should have a level of respect. And that's really, and I believe that the important thing about a mentor is that it's just that they've been down a road that you are going to be traveling and they can help make it a little easier. And a lot of that is the energetic space holding, and to be able to go, yeah, no, yeah, that way. And yeah, so when I'm with Gay, it's not even about the words that we speak. It's just about being in his field. And it's almost like, I think that's the reason what you're talking about being in person. There's a energetic tuning up, amplification that happens.
Yeah. Tuning up, like leveling up, but yes.
And you might be really good, but I don't think you're going to find that on LinkedIn. I mean, maybe.
But so, there are ways to, like you said, connect with people locally, and that's where you'll be able to tell instantly if there's a connection. And it's interesting to think about business versus life mentors, and they're really, to me, it's always been both.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you don't, maybe some people do have just a business mentor, but if they don't have your best interest in mind for life, then it's not going to be to your advantage, I wouldn't think.
No, that's such a good point, because if they're not, if you're using them to help you make business decisions, you don't know if it's within your value system.
Right.
So that's the reason it has to be resonant. Like, you need to really resonate with their entire being. And I remember, I think Mickey Argarwal, she has a coach, and she said she went and spent a weekend with her coach to see how she lives, which I thought was so good. She said, I want to see, she was looking for more life coach. And she said, I want to see how she lives her life with her husband, with her children. So I thought that was so amazing. And that her coach said, yeah, come on, spend the weekend with us. So that's what I think you're talking about here, is you want to make sure this is a holistic system. Because if they're just business, you don't know if that is in line with your value system.
Right.
And then you could be going down a road that's not going to serve you in the long run.
Yeah, take you off course even. And I think about being a mentee and a mentor, and on both sides, I don't think a mentee should ever feel like they're always taking, because the mentor actually feels, if it's a true connection, they feel they're getting just as much. So that's one way to kind of look at it when you're looking for your match, is that this isn't just a one-sided ask. This isn't a favor.
No.
And I think sometimes I get people who will ask me on LinkedIn, will you be my mentor? And it feels, well, it's just like, as we just discussed, it's a very difficult place to even get that connection. Impossible. I don't know if you'd even ask that right away, or it just has happened organically in my life where you didn't even name it or label it. But yeah, interesting.
I do remember reading or seeing a video of, do you know Dandi Pandi or something? We'll have to look at Dandi Pani. He's this great Indian guru. He wears like a dot on his head, and I thought he was kind of a joke. I thought he was like making fun of, but no, he's for real. He said that people ask him, will you mentor me? And he replies back, read this book, and this book. Like, read these 3 books. Tell me the top things you've learned. And you know what? I've been doing that.
No one gets back to you.
Rarely do people reply.
I've seen that video. I think you sent it to me.
It's a good way to flush out too, also, because a lot of people say they want a mentor. And again, it's a sacred space, and this is serious. And, time, because that person is a successful person, right? Generally, if you want them to mentor you. And their time is worth a lot. And I believe that the phrase is thrown around a lot. So I love that screening. So if you email me and you get that, you're going to know why.
Here's a list of books.
Yeah.
And get back to me.
I think,
that's such a good filter too, kind of seeing if the true intention is there.
Well, if the true intention, because nobody wants to waste time. You don't want to waste time, and but you want it to be fun, and it can be fun. And I love what you said about it shouldn't all be take, because when it's enjoyable for the person, there's nothing to ask for, nor nothing desired other than just, I remember I asked Katie Hendricks once when Gay was first mentoring me, I said, oh, I hope I'm not bothering Gay. And she said, trust me, if this didn't 100% delight him, he would not be doing it. And I was like, yeah, how awesome.
Yeah. It shouldn't be feel like a burden.
No.
And he would never.
No. And how fun to share some, it's fun to share information or knowledge that you've worked hard to gain with someone that really is hungry for it. There's no more pleasurable, I think, exchange that could happen.
So just to kind of wrap up and recap, one of the things, is it accurate to say you would suggest that people go to a more localized type of situation, or to a seminar, even if you have to travel, but in person, see who you can find that are masters at something that you want to accomplish?
Yes, and look for body signals. Do you feel turned on? Do you get goosebumps when they're talking? Do you, feel more alive? And if you do, go towards that person because that's a person that's a good match for you. And it may not be a match for you, 5 years from now because a lot of these are processes, and stages that we go through. But yeah, for the next step, that's what I would do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not try to over-label it so much. This doesn't have to be a formal anything.
No, I don't know how it got so popular. Like what?
Right. Oh, good advice.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. That's perfect. Hi, everyone. If you are digging this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It just takes a moment, and it means a ton to us. Also, after recording more than 100 episodes, I've created a bit of a cheat sheet on the top 5 things I've learned from renegades and how they get from idea to action, from dreaming to doing. I will email you the downloadable PDF when you subscribe to my newsletter. Just head to amyjomartin.com and click on Connect with Me. And before I get too far in, you're going to want to follow Suzy if you aren't already. Let's just say Instagram is the platform of choice. Let's pretend that's the case for everyone. I know it's not, but it's probably the majority of the listeners at Suzy Batiz, SUZY Batiz. And this new amazing revolution that she's launching this week is called Supernatural. You can follow Supernatural at Supernatural Clean. And believe me, it's mind-blowing. I haven't seen this happen before in terms of the product and the meaning and the why and the impact it's going to have on our earth and people. And you might see a little nudity too, but just like the clean kind. It's interesting as I listen back to this recording that Suzy and I had, and I realize the shift in energy. I don't know if you could feel my cadence and presence when I'm in her presence, but it's a little different. I would say I just kind of settle down into myself a little more. So when I think about mentors and mentorship, I've had a variety of different mentors in my life, and I've mentored a variety of different people in my life too. One of the things that I think is so valuable about finding the right match is, can they shift your energy? Can they shift it into a direction that just feels more of you? Maybe it's a slow down. Maybe it's a speed up. Maybe it's just a positioning difference. But is that there? Because in finding the right match, you want to have a connection with someone who can help recalibrate, what you've been doing. Because the idea is that they up-level you. It doesn't always mean a promotion or going faster. It's an up-level of energy. And oh gosh, what does that mean, right? If someone would have said to me, and I've shared this before on the podcast, but if you haven't heard, I wasn't always in touch with the more intuitive side. Super analytical. I like black and white. It makes me feel happy and concise and clear. And one of the reasons my mentor in Suzy has been, I think, so impactful is that she's helped me understand energy a little differently in terms of managing my energy. Sometimes I run a little hot. I mean, I'll be the first to say. I used to think that I could just make things happen, force them. Faster is better. If 1 is good, 12 is amazing. And actually, I think the real power is channeling what that means and how it shows up in your life and really understanding and working with your own energy. And something that you'll learn if you follow Suzy Batiz is she's learned the science behind this. And so when I first met her, it sounded good. But to me, I was willing to be open to what this could mean for me because I was in such a place of deficit when it came to the inside kind of self worth and confidence, I had been focusing so much outside, externally. Like, I will try anything to make myself feel more valuable, whether it's money, success, job, dating someone specific, whatever. I tried everywhere, looking a certain way. And when I met Suzy, I realized, wow, the real power is that inside job, inside energy. I think that's when we start to turn a corner and understand how to manage our own energy and worth, value. So you probably know me at this point. I'm a bullet point girl. I like to just snap and share my lessons and thoughts, and usually they're in Evernote, but today I don't even have an Evernote that I'm looking at to speak with you and actually have some guardrails for my thoughts. But I wanted to share a few things that I've learned from my current mentor. And I think it's important to say I've had many different mentors in my life. And this is the first time specifically in referencing Suzy. I'd say she's more of a life, and whether you call it spiritual or connection, I think connotation and vernacular can get in our way sometimes and be isolating. But she's bigger than a business mentor, let's say that for sure. I've had, Tony Hsieh, the CEO of Zappos, as a mentor in a different way. He's been on this podcast. Kenny Tomlin is definitely an amazing business mentor. And a variety of others. I've also menteed people who have been on this podcast. Emily Kostopoulos, Alina Valdez. You can look back and listen to those episodes. But as I sit here in this seat of having been on both sides, what I realize more and more is that a mentor is looking out for, of course, your best interest. So if you're just wanting business advice, to me, that feels like a different thing. That's still important, and you can start there for sure. But hopefully that relationship with the person that you meet, if you're really seeking a mentor, transcends to their interest in helping you become the best, highest version of yourself. And when we talk about that, we're talking about a completely different level and story. It's no longer just economics and business. It's life and impact. So that's been a huge shift for me in connecting and working with Suzy. I think there's a ton of business advice I've received, and it's all come from spiritual wealth. So the last couple of years, I've basically been able to take the insight and guidance that I've received, apply it to myself, and indirectly, or sometimes very directly, it shows up in the currency of financial wealth. So that's been one of my biggest takeaways, is that currency is just energy. Energy is the new currency. I'm sure you're going to hear Suzy talk more and more about this. But if we think about it being fluid, I used to just want to put money under my mattress. Having grown up with not a ton of money and seeing a lot and seeing it go away and having this roller coaster of dollars and financial stability, I just feel best when I can put it on my mattress. In the past, that's how I felt. And now I realize it truly is alive and it's just energy. And so if we treat it that way, it starts to show up in our lives in a different way. Another thing I've learned in working in this relationship with Suzy as a mentor has been, I've gotten to this point to where I almost don't even text her or call her in certain situations, because I think to myself, what would Suzy ask? It's not what would Suzy say. It's what question would she ask me? Because I could probably just ask that right here, right now, and save her even having to respond. Oftentimes I hear her in my head saying, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you might want to get curious and just ask yourself, why have I created this right now? Okay, mic drop. if you just write those words down and the next time you feel stressed or in a debacle or there's something not going your way that you really wanted to be a certain way and an outcome that's not showing up the same as you envisioned, you might try asking yourself that, oh, what if I were to get curious and ask myself, why did I create this right now? Oh, interesting. So there are times where over the evolution of this relationship, I haven't even reached out to her because I feel like I know what she would say. Rarely does, if ever, does my mentor give me answers. It's almost always questions. And so that's why I feel like she's been able to help me mentor myself, which is a much scalable model, by the way. And I don't want to speak for her, but I think she's done the same with her mentor in Gay Hendricks, who has also been on the podcast. And so then recently, Suzy and I were in Italy, and Emily Kostopoulos, who is a mentee of mine, who's also been on this show, texted me something. And she was, I think, listening to one of Gay Hendricks' books. And Gay Hendricks also has a new book out. It's the sequel to The Big Leap. Please check it out. Just thought of that. This is not some sort of forced promo. It's just literally thought of it, and The Big Leap is amazing. So check out the sequel. So Emily's listening to the book. She texts me, and she responds and talks about some sort of lesson she learned in that book. And I showed the text to Suzy, and we were kind of giggling because we've got 4 generations of mentorship going on. And Suzy's response was kind of brilliant in that, yeah, you keep paying it forward. You keep sharing. And there's no, exclusivity to this information. It's just the whole goal is to share and make sure that this spreads as far and wide as it possibly can. So that's been a big, interesting, transcendent lesson too. From a really pure tactical business standpoint, obviously Suzy has some advice to share. She's created an empire. And I think our initial intentions might be, I want to find a mentor to help me go from this level to that level. In business, I want a promotion, I want to make more money, whatever it might be. And there's nothing wrong with that. Please carry on and keep looking for someone to be your match and guiding you. Obviously, I've shared how much of my desire to make that happen has led me to a whole nother world. But I do want to share a few things about business that I've learned through my mentor and many mentors, specifically right now speaking from the point of view of being a mentee of Suzy's. And that is, number one, this woman has created a multi-million-dollar entities as she launches this other one, and she's never had a business plan. I hope you heard what I just said. This woman has never had a business plan. She solely operates out of energy, what feels good, what feels right. Harvard would probably cry if they heard us saying this. Maybe not. It's 2018. However, she didn't finish college. She's a small town girl from Arkansas, and she's used her internal GPS as her business guidance. There was a recent situation where I had launched a new initiative, and I said to Suzy, this is going really well, but I want to make sure it's scalable. And, I'm looking at this economic model and this and that. And she just stopped me right there and said, does it light you up? And I said, yes, absolutely. This is incredible. She said, that is what you need to focus on, delivering that value. And if we back up a second, I would say the number one thing that Suzy has taught me in incremental of energy is that how to value my own value, like understand and own my value. And so those are the types of things that you may not hear in a business setting, getting an MBA or speaking with someone who thinks very linear from a business standpoint. because I used to subscribe to that. I'm like, 20 years now in my career? And for the first 17, it was very linear. That's been a huge upside in learning, the power of following that drive, following what lights us up. And then one other business lesson, I guess you'd say, with what I've learned in terms of just being surrounded by and exposed more to someone who operates solely based on what lights her up, is who. Who do you work with? Who do you deal with, partner with, collaborate with in business? And if you don't have resonance, radical resonance, as Suzy would call it, then you might want to check yourself. Because, and I know this from my past, and I've learned the hard way, and it's funny how our lessons come full circle, but who we say no to is more valuable than who we say yes to in terms of connection, where we spend our time, who we do business with, who we let invest in us, who we invest in, every direction of relationship. And that's been, it's been interesting to witness someone who is willing to be so rigid about how they feel when they meet someone and the potential connection. I've seen Suzy in situations in business meetings where it might look like a home run from the outside, but if she's not feeling it, it's a full hard stop. Like it's a non-negotiable, like we might as well end it right here. I think this is something I've known from an intellectual level, but have I really felt it and experienced it and actually like exercised it on an intuitive level? Two completely different things, because it's hard when you're sitting in a meeting and you think, oh, this partnership, wow, yeah, I can see the revenue. I can see the connection in terms of how this is going to resonate with an outside audience. And if I'm not connecting with that person at the level that needs to be apparent and just like full on connection, then it's not a good situation. Like you got to walk away because there's something much bigger around the corner. And I just want to wrap this up by saying, sometimes we share the best stories in the highlight reel. And in a way, I feel like I've done that in this episode. I would be lying and remiss to say that everything is Pollyanna and, just find your mentor and it's great. What I appreciate about my connection with my most epic current mentor right now is that we are truth. And there have been some really difficult conversations we've had to have along the way and make sure that that we stay aligned. And so that's important because it's never just going to be some easy street. I think there's a lot of ease in this relationship, and we've made it that way. And we've basically built to be that way through a couple of times where we just had to have some challenging, difficult, critical conversations. So by no means is this some fairy tale. And at the same time, I think that's where true fairy tale situations surface, is because of the hard stuff. So I think you should look for that in a mentor too, someone that's going to be 100% true, accountable, responsible for their own words and actions, and making sure you stick to yours too, because that's been a huge part of this. And otherwise, it's not real. It's not going to benefit anyone. Quick timeout right here. So you've probably heard me a few times in a few places talk about my awesome partnership with BumbleBiz. And what I love about connecting with partners and brands that are resonant is that it feels easy. And I am looking for someone to mentor. And I'm finding that person through the BumbleBiz app. And if you're familiar with Bumble, the dating side of the app, then all you have to do is switch your mode to Bumble Biz and switch over to the business side. That's where I spend my time. I'm connecting with someone in the near future to become my mentee, and that will be starting here very soon. You do not have to be in the same city as me to be qualified. I am traveling around constantly, and if you're in the same city, please do connect. But please know also, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, you will be notified. It will be apparent of how and when we can connect, so an in-app experience. And I hope to see you in Bumble Biz, and I hope that you can understand the value of being in there. I have been now experiencing this new world of connection that's different than anything I've experienced. And it's refreshing because it's real. So I will see you in there, and I'll be looking for the right match for someone that I will mentor. And it's pretty exciting. So I'll see you in there. The last thing I'll leave you with is that I've realized a mentorship, a mentor, and or a mentee is a situation where you have a guide or you're guiding someone. And there's never anyone more valuable than yourself to guide you. So in a way, a mentor to me means finding someone who can help me guide myself, which is so sustainable. What you have inside of you is unmatched, and you have all the answers. So as we look for these people to help us guide ourselves in our journey, it may just accelerate our ability to guide ourselves, or it may bring out a different tone and message that switches us into a different gear so we can access a different guidance within ourselves. So that's all this is. No one's going to do it for you. It's just merely guidance. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the show. Hit me up on social media to let me know what you think. I'm at Amy Jo Martin on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I want to hear your Why Not Now moments so I can share them on the show. Just send me a note to whynotnow@amyjomartin.com. For show notes and other offers, you can visit amyjomartin.com/whynotnow. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for my email newsletter for exclusive content and announcements. A big thanks to Rock Salt Music for all of the tunes by the talented John Coggins. And of course, a hat tip to Richard Brewer for editing and producing the show. I'll see you next time. And until then, why not now?